just to talk about some of these topics that comes up when I'm talking to parents or even with preteens and teenagers. And for today, we'll be talking specifically about life in diaspora as a new parent. So maybe you just got married or you moved here as a young couple and you have your first child in diaspora, which could be any part of the world for any one of us. What is that journey like? Where I am from, which is West Africa, there are certain things that happens when people have babies. Okay, I still don't. It's saying life with Lacquer is unable to join. Oh, let me try that again, please, guys. And if I have adult people on the line, and please don't be offended when I say guys, I teach children, I teach teenagers. So sometimes when I'm in a teaching mode, my brain works that way that I say guys. So please don't be offended with that. So welcome back, Life with Lakuri.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was just telling our audience that I started doing more of Instagram lives last month. And I've discovered that, there's so many things we can't talk about, maybe when I'm doing a parenting session or writing a book. And these are the realities that we face when we've left our home countries and we're living elsewhere. And specifically for today, we're talking to new parents or maybe even parents with young children. What is that journey like? Pregnancy, during, before, after. How do you navigate that? You and I were both from West Africa, Nigeria specifically, and we both live in Canada now. And we know in Nigeria, when you have a baby, your house will be full, there will be a grandma, grandpa. Even when your mom is still working, it's easy for them to travel between your home. I remember someone that her mom would come early in the morning, bathe baby, and from her house go to work and come back in the afternoon. But now we're like thousands of miles far away from home, and we're starting families. We're building our homes, we're having babies, and you realize the support system is different. Not that it's not there completely, but it's different. So to all our viewers today, that's what we're going to be talking about. So by way of introduction, I will let my guests introduce ourselves so that we all get to know you. So over to you, Life with Lakuri.
Hi everyone, my name is Olakure Day, but I'm fondly called Lakure. That's why you get Life with Lakure. And I kind of started this platform, the Life with Lakure platform, after my experience with having children here in the diaspora. And like Pastor Mia said, it's a different journey entirely. I am from a very large family, so I've been involved with new babies, but it was a totally different experience for me because I was by myself and every help I could get were very far from me. So I think today we'll be discussing the before, the during, and the after, which is every part of that journey is very important. The before is important, the during is very, very important, as well as the after, because that is where we have the life and death issue come up. Mommy's health, baby's health, coming from one person to two people now, their health, their care, and all of that. And I hope that you take something home, especially new parents, and I hope you take something home from today's live session.
Good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So by introduction, you've mentioned that you have two children and they're all born in Canada.
Yes.
So how long have you lived in Canada altogether?
I think I've been in Canada for about 6 years now.
6 years, okay.
Yes, I came in as a student and I got married. I did my introduction. I got married. I went back to my own country to do that. But my husband and I are based here in Canada, and we've been here he's been here longer than I, but we've been here for about 6 years, and we've had both our children here. I completed my master's degree here in Canada. I am also a professional agrologist. By the way, I do makeup, and that's what most people know me for here in Saskatoon. I do other things, like I sell things as well, but the makeup is where most people know me. And I'm sure if you've come across makeup artists in Saskatoon, you'd have seen one of my work one way or the other.
Yeah.
So I think that's
and thank you for going, towards your professional and business, resume, if I could use that word, because sometimes when we're starting out and you have young children, it takes a lot of guts to still balance raising them without help, like we said, and still chasing your passion, your dreams, and stuff like that. Which, next Saturday, I believe I'm bringing someone up to talk more about that perspective. So let's jump right into it. When you had your first child here in Canada, because I was here, right? I know about this, but for the benefit of our viewers, when you had your first child, going through that, when I had my first child, she's 21 years old now. I read that book back in Nigeria, that what to expect when you're expecting. And I thought I knew everything. And then when that labor pain grips you, it's like everything you taught you forget that you're supposed to breathe. You forget that you're supposed to push. They have to tell you. And it's like everything is just happening, rolling into each other. But I had my sister right beside me, because my husband was in Canada when I had our first child in Nigeria. But my sister was right there with me. So I had support, if I'll use that word. And before the end of that day, my mom showed up, mother-in-law, everybody was showing up. So how was that experience for you here in Canada, going to that labor room? I know your husband was there, but what were the emotions going through your mind, as you were going through that journey?
My first baby, I would say, was a very funny or tricky pregnancy because on Christmas Day, we were in church for Christmas service and I wasn't feeling movement. And I told my husband that I'm not feeling any movement. Let's just go to the ER, because by the time you get to 35, 36 weeks, you become a regular at the ER here in Canada. So I was already a regular at the ER. So I was like, it doesn't cost us anything. We had plans for the Christmas and we now got to the hospital. My husband went down to park the car. Before he came back upstairs, they had given me papers, forms to sign, that I had to do a stress contraction test. I had to agree to do a cesarean session because of how baby was feeling and everything. Now, because they had monitored baby for a few minutes. And I was scared. I wouldn't even. I told myself, I was like, this is not the plan, because before then my gynecologist had given me a paper to fill for my birthing plan. So I already had my birthing plan, and getting to the hospital and they're now saying, they're not even thinking, let's even try natural birth or anything. It was, sign the CS form, let's just get consent now in case anything good happens. And Christmas Day is supposed to be a happy day. I was checking my sister's WhatsApp status. Back home in Nigeria, my parents would host a Christmas event and everybody was happy. We were all bubbling. So I couldn't even call them, because if I did, they would all be scared, and people at the event would know that something is wrong. So I picked up the phone. I called my dad. My husband came and we're just, okay, let's call. I spoke to my family physician that they are saying so, and so. And he was like, he assured me that cesarean session here is a different experience from what I've heard in Nigeria, that I shouldn't worry myself, that it's going to go well and I'm in the best of hands. Then I called my dad, because my mom was busy. I called my dad. Then he went to pray. My husband called his parents. They also were praying. And we were just believing God for a miracle. And we had this stress contraction test for about 8 hours. Whoa. Afterwards, they checked baby. They said, baby is fine. However, if they're going to release me, I need to sign an undertaking that if anything happens to my baby and it's my fault, that I'm the one who decided to leave the hospital. My husband read it and he was like, I don't think this is a good idea. Let's just, because I was hungry, I had not eaten, I wasn't allowed to eat, I wasn't allowed to do it. So the hunger from pregnancy and everything just got to me. And it was a roller coaster of emotion. I didn't know if I should be happy, because I'm going to be happy because that phase is over. I'm not carrying a baby again in my belly. But the old danger, and there's in my own language in Nigeria, they call it the danger of giving birth. So it's a danger on its own. I've seen someone have a baby like in person. I have experienced that in person, and I have heard I had a few moms that I spoke to here, and I had heard experiences. So I was just scared that, why is this happening to me? Like, I've prayed, like this shouldn't. So my first baby, the birthing experience was that emotional part was just, that part of signing forms and everything was emotional for me, and I didn't even know what to expect. Then after the test, we my husband said we should stay, so we stayed, and they just induced labor. And by the next morning, I took epidural when I was about 5 centimeters because I was in severe pain.
Pain.
I can't express that pain, but I was in severe pain. Then I took epidural. Then I had my baby. I didn't feel the pain of pushing and all. But for my second baby, it was a different experience. I didn't have epidural. It was fast, and my husband said that even I remember that immediately I was feeling bad. I was feeling a certain way when I was apparently I was about to give birth. I was already 10 centimeters. I was reading all the psalms in the Bible that I knew because I was just the pain. I feel like people don't talk about the pain enough. I see videos on social media. When I see those women demonstrating, I know that they are not dramatic because I have experienced it. I didn't get an epidural. It was just me by myself, and my husband was also there to support me. The emotion, I can't explain it to anyone. When you experience it, you would be able to know that this is not an easy journey. The point of pushing as well. I remember for my second baby, because I didn't have an epidural, doctors were saying my blood pressure was going up and I needed to control it. So all these things, it's amazing that now I can sit down and talk about it. But at that point, it was one of the most fearful time in my life. That it was, I understood what they mean by life and death and what pain was, especially for the contraction time. I understood pain in a different light. Like they will call it someone that don't like pain. I'm very touchy. Like
Your
if you want to
tolerance for
put it,
pain.
yes, I'm very intolerant to pain. So going through that process kind of really changed me, and the experience is it's only the person who goes through it that can actually talk about it better. Yes. No matter what I
Thank
say,
you.
nobody will understand it until they experience it.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. And for those that are listening, if anyone is maybe pregnant or not married yet, but still believing God for, a child, two things that I'll pick from your experience is the fact that you get to that stage where you realize you need help, and the help you need is supernatural. I remember, so I had my first one in Nigeria, the second one and the third one here. And I remember my husband holding my hand and stroking my hand. Finally, I had to say, just leave my hand alone. Like the pain that I don't need anybody to touch me. Like, just leave me alone. You realize that stage of life, like in Yoruba, we'll say you are one leg in heaven, one leg on earth.
Yeah.
It's like I cross over, and you don't even I don't have words to describe it. So my experience too, I did two without epidural and one with epidural. I don't know which one is better. I don't know. The experiences are all just like it is an experience.
Yes,
But we thank God that, our children are alive and well. We can see them growing, we have that joy. And I pray for anyone, watching us that's believing God for a child, that the Lord will give you that, experience to have your own children in Jesus' name. So let's move on with that experience. So what would you say is the importance of having your partner, which now is the husband, because it's only women that get pregnant? So one of the things that I had started doing a couple of years back is when a woman is pregnant, when I see the husband, I will say, you guys are pregnant. So it is, we are pregnant, not she is pregnant. Because there are certain things that the husband cannot do for her that she has to do, but there are certain ways that the man can help. In my experience, like I said, the first one, my husband wasn't there. Thank God my sister was by my side. The next two, even in the labor room, sometimes they will tell your husband to hold one leg up, like there are. So apart from that one day experience, how else? Because we are here today to share experience. Woman that's pregnant, please don't go back home and fight your husband about you're not supporting me. No, work through it together. So what would you say would be some of the ways that the men can be involved and be a support to their pregnant wife, because now we're far away from home?
Okay, so I missed some of what you said, but from what I gathered, it's how your spouse can support you
Yes.
during pregnancy.
Yes.
The one thing I us. It was a learning curve for him. It was a learning curve for me. And one thing that I also realized was there was need to communicate, because sometimes we can misinterpret each other. And one of the ways my first baby, and as a woman, you get irritated by so many things when you're pregnant. So at the beginning part, I was sick, but I was irritated by certain things, and small things would just explode. So we had to find a way to communicate to each other. Okay, this is what is happening. I don't like it this way. I think this is what works for me. I hope I hope this you understand how I'm feeling, because it's one thing to say, it's another thing for him to get what you're saying. And I will not overemphasize the need to communicate with your spouse, because at that time he's the only one, especially if you're in diaspora, he's the only one that is close to you. So
True.
if you guys have issues at that time that you're pregnant, it tends to, because at that point you yourself, your emotions are up and down, so you tend to hold certain things to your heart. So you have to be very intentional about how you want to address the issue. So you and your spouse, you need to first of all talk about it. Talk about how you want to be treated. Talk about how, because another thing people don't talk about is the sex part of it. It changes when you are pregnant.
True.
So you have to talk about it. You have to talk about your plans for the baby. Okay, when I get to this certain stage, this is what I would like or what I would appreciate. You should be able to communicate. I feel like communication is the most important part, and also time management. Because I realize when you are pregnant, or after you have baby, if you don't manage your time very well, you and your spouse, there will be issues. So you need to talk about that. You have to also plan how you want to spend your maternity. I know back in Nigeria, it's probably 3 months. Here, you could get more than that. And you have to be able to, both of you need to sit down and plan it. You need to plan your finances together. All these things, it may not look like a big deal, but when you're pregnant, you have to discuss, and both of you need to come to a decision about these things. Because if you do not do that, it becomes a big problem. Little things, because you don't know what your baby would want. You may plan to do an exclusive breastfeeding, but your baby wants milk. And for some children, depending on how they are born, there are different kinds of milk. At least here in Canada, I know we
formula.
have formula. So some are cheap, some are expensive, and you will want the best for your child. But if your pockets cannot, what do you do then?
What would you do?
Yes, there's also baby things, baby item. You get gifts, fine, but there are certain things that you need. People would not even think of buying for you. You need to buy it. So emotionally, financially, mentally, your spouse needs to be there for you. So both of you need to work together. And like I mentioned earlier, my husband and I, our first pregnancy was a learning curve for us. We had to learn. We didn't know it. It wasn't figured out. It was how the pregnancy progressed. That was when we started, okay, I think this is how we need to do. There are times that small thing would have caused us to kind of explode, and later we sit down and talk, okay, I think we shouldn't have addressed this matter, because my husband has a logical way of thinking about things. So we're like, we shouldn't have addressed this way. Okay, let's do it this way. When we wanted to buy baby things, we made decisions. Okay, we'll buy some things. Then on Black Friday, I remember my baby was born in December. So we already planned that, okay, although his EDD was in January, but we already knew that, okay, let's just get things. So the plan was, financial decision was, there are certain items we cannot afford now. Let's wait till Black Friday. And on Black Friday, we checked the prices, they were slashed. And we went in and we picked up the items. We didn't have to start fighting that, no, you must buy this right now. No, we need it right now. No. We made that decision that, okay, this is our income. If we want this and this for our baby, then we need to do this and this. We had to prepare the room, that baby would. So all these things, I feel like communication is going to make all of these things. And another thing, I know, like we say it in church, that the devil always tries to row his head in an open wall. So I also think that prayer should come with that communication. Because I've realized sometimes we have an understanding, because you're from different backgrounds, you have understandings of things differently. And when you say something, your partner may have interpreted it to one
different way. True.
So your own part is when you want to start that discussion. You don't necessarily have to pray together, but you also have a communication with God. You pray to Him and
Exactly.
this thing
Yeah.
that I want to talk
True.
about. This is where my mind is going to.
True.
Please lay it in my husband's mind like this, or
Mm-hmm.
for the husband, lay it in my wife's mind like this, so that she understands that it's not like I'm trying to be deceitful or I'm trying to make her feel like our ideas don't make sense. But this is the situation that I am in now, and I need you to help me to balance
Yeah.
it. So that's the
Yeah.
underlining part of the communication,
Communication.
the part where
Yeah.
you pray to God to help you to deal with it.
Knowing that you're on the same team, we're
Yes,
having this baby together. This baby is joining our home.
yeah,
How do we make things work? And I like how you talked about, even financial aspect, because I think sometimes pregnancy happens when we didn't plan for it, but it has happened. Now you have 9 months to plan. So if for those 9 months you're not communicating, you're not planning together, the baby shows up. There are certain things in diaspora, at least for us in Canada, and I believe in the US, that you have no choice but to buy. You must buy a car seat. A baby car seat is a must. And those things are getting more and more expensive by the day. And like you also touched on, maybe you've planned to do exclusive breastfeeding and baby decides, I don't want it. And then they decide to have a very expensive taste with a formula that is super expensive. And now your family income has been cut down because now mommy, the baby's mom, is on maternity leave. So those are all the things that we talk about. Apart from the baby blues, taking pictures of we're expecting, these are the realities that we need to talk about. And I'll
yeah,
throw this in here. So I've been pastoring since I moved to Canada. And one thing I realized really quickly is when someone has a baby, the gift that people that we take to them matters a lot. Don't buy them clothes. Most times they bought too many clothes already. So what I discovered back then, and which is I still do it up till now, is I will buy you a big box of wipes. It doesn't expire. You will need it till that baby is maybe even 2 years old. Sometimes you're still using wipes. If I choose to buy diapers, then I start from like size 3 and
yeah,
up, instead of buying me newborn size or size 1. So anyway, I thought I should throw that in there. I see our time is moving. I have to move my location. I'm not sure if that's where the interference is coming from. So we've talked about emotional well-being, mental state, addressing anxiety, depression. So let's talk about that. For us Black people, we believe Black don't crack.
yeah.
So we don't like to talk about mental health. But I've been with people that just had babies and they are emotionally down. And we don't like hearing words like postpartum depression, mood swings. And then we go the route of, 1 million women will trade places with you. What is making you sad? During COVID, I think during COVID, we realized the impact of loneliness on mental
Yeah.
health. Now you've had this baby. Maybe it is in minus 40 degrees, like we get in Saskatchewan. Nobody has visited you for 1 week. Your spouse is busy. They still have to go to work. They come back from work tired. Maybe they're even running the side business. So it's like the only time you see them, they are tired. You don't have adult conversation all day long. You are here with this tiny person that is now controlling your life. And if you've been a career woman, always on the go, and now you're in quotes and unquote stuck at home with this tiny person that is running your life, how do we deal with that? How do we deal with that?
I think, like what you just said, was kind of my experience with my first baby. It was post COVID, but things were not out completely then. We still had the rules and regulations, and
Yeah.
it was hard. I feel like at that point, there's this pastor, I see some of his clip and I kind of listen to his message, and he said that don't think that you are stuck at that time because you are building the nation at that time. Just see it as a period where you are still building, and because it's hard. It's easy to say now, but it's hard at that point because I was still a student. My intention was to finish my program before I didn't even know that I was pregnant. That's what I was talking about earlier. That that year, my plan that year was I was going to finish my program, then my husband and I can proceed to start having children and all of that. And based on the fact that I already had reproductive health challenges, my doctor had given me a year or a year and a half, then if anything not doesn't happen. So we already felt like, oh, we still have this
You
here.
still have time.
So my plan was, oh, let me just finish school and get my career started, then we can start. But that was not the situation for me. I had a baby, and it was just, I would say for our community, we need to stop saying that there is no depression. There can be, but the thing is, it's like when you have a sickness, if you treat it early, there's a tendency that you get completely away from it. I know depression is a mental health thing, and I'm not a mental health expert, but one of the things that kind of helped me that time was the support, especially from my family. They were not here in Canada with me, but I remember everybody would give me a call every day. How are you? And it's not, oh, take care of the baby. They would check up on me as a person. Sometimes they tend to be like, oh, it's baby that we come to talk to, but they still care enough about me. And because I'd spoken to a few moms and they had told me, because I've had mom tell me that, after a while, I started crying. I had to drop my baby. I was alone. I was crying. I was so, but they didn't use the word depressed, but they knew that something was, there's a
Yeah.
void to be filled.
Yeah.
And even on several occasions, I'll call my husband at work then when my baby is crying non-stop. I've begged him, I've changed, I've done everything, that he should please talk to his baby, that I'm not feeling well, that I'm trying my best. And he will talk to the baby. But what I'll just say about this emotional thing is the kind of people you have around you. People don't have to come to your house to support you. They can give you a call,
Yeah.
send you a message like, oh, I have you in my heart. I know that this is not the best time to talk or call you, but know that I have you in my heart. I'm praying for you. Those kind of words help. And I would say something. One thing that worked for me, I know like what different is that I had songs, like there are certain songs that lift my spirits. So those were, I won't, because depression is real, anxiety disorder is real. I didn't
Yeah.
experience it, and what worked for me was the kind of people I had around me, in terms of family, in terms of friends, new moms around here, and in terms of the things I was listening to. That was what even gave me, because sometimes if you check, especially social media, if you are depressed or you say the word depression, just check your timeline. Everything they will be bringing is, this is what makes you depressed. These are the signs and symptoms of depression. But for me, it was the positive light was the fact that I had the songs I was listening to was what just helped me as an individual. But for every other person, if you feel that you see certain signs, it's best that you speak to your doctor.
Doctor.
And we are, especially in Canada, we're in a society that the health system works. You would get someone to talk to you. They would not neglect you.
Yeah.
They won't tell you that it is normal. You are a woman. You are a strong woman. No, there's no need for strong woman here.
Yeah.
If you're if you're vulnerable at a time and you need support, you should be able to speak up to get the support. And I was also able to identify one or two people that when I speak to and when they talk to me, it helps my mind and it makes me understand that I'm not alone. These experiences they had gone through it, and this is what they did that helped them. This is what one thing that would have made me very, very frustrated was after my first baby, I couldn't breastfeed him. He wasn't latching. I wasn't producing
Producing.
enough milk. And for someone who had started planning that I would breastfeed my baby, it was a downtime for me. Even with I got medications from my doctor and everything. It was still I still felt bad. But they encouraged me and said, formula, baby will still take children take formula every day and nothing is wrong with them. Just give your baby. So they gave me alternative and they made me understand that this alternative they're giving is also as good as what I want to do. But even if what I want to do is not available, the alternative will work for
Yeah.
me and I don't have to feel bad as an individual or as a mother to my
Yeah.
child. So it's important that you seek the proper care if you're experiencing any of these things. And if there are other things that you can help yourself with to relieve stress of this of motherhood, then you should try it out.
Yeah. True. 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 Thank you so much for sharing that. Something that I always, try to say to myself is, to thyself be true. If you're having feelings about something, you think something is bothering you, and now that also still now goes back to, even after you've been true to yourself, do you have a supportive village around you? And I like how you said, even your family back at home, 7 hours time difference, they were calling you constantly. So sometimes you might be in a location where you've not made friends, not because you didn't want to, but you just haven't found the people, that you can put in your village, your small village. But even if it is one person that it is, and for everybody listening, if you have anybody in your life living in diaspora that has had a baby or just had a baby, please stay in touch with them. If it's a text message, I mean, WhatsApp is even good now. You can send voice notes. If it's a YouTube link to music, something, send them something. Because that also still counts as our adult conversation, even though we are not face-to-face talking. Because it takes someone that is lonely to know that they are lonely. And you can even be surrounded by people that you're not close with, and you can still be lonely, even though there are people around you. And I also like to add this. Our culture needs to step out of judging people. If someone says they're going through something, you are not in their shoes. They're telling you what they're going through. You might not understand. And that takes me back to when you were talking about they gave you the form to sign for, they might have to do C-section, or, we need to remove this stigmatization around C-section. I find it interesting, maybe because I'm a nurse, when I see someone that has a baby, oh, was it vaginal delivery or a C-section? But in most cases, we say, was it natural birth? And I'm thinking, what makes C-section unnatural? You are alive, your baby is alive, you've gone through life and death. The pain of C-section is even on its own level. And I hear people say, oh, they were lazy. That, like, excuse me, they were lazy is why they did C-section? Oh, Lord have mercy. So I don't, maybe because I'm a nurse, so it's easy
So
to me for
epidural,
me.
it's also say the same thing
I
with
know
epidural as well.
that you're lazy. That's why you took the epidural. Oh, your mother had 4 kids or 5 kids and they had them naturally. Please, if our mother had options of epidural there, some of them would take, this pain is not funny.
Yes.
So let's stop belittling people's experiences. Let's stop belittling, oh, you're not breastfeeding. Oh, these Gen Z mothers, they don't even want any inconvenience. They're not. Do you know why she's not breastfeeding? So, and even sometimes when you want to do breastfeeding all through, some big mommies will still come to you and say, you want to kill yourself, give this baby bottle. So you cannot satisfy everybody. To thyself be true. Communication with your spouse to know what works for you. And I salute your husband because you said something about you called him at work to talk to his baby, and that is part of where the men need to be fully involved. It pains me. I saw someone once, big tummy, came for an appointment at the clinic and now looking for how to catch the bus to go back home. And I understand they might be new. Maybe they don't have a vehicle. Maybe the husband had to go to work, couldn't come with her. But I think why that experience is still stuck in my brain is I went to the clinic for a different perspective. I'm done. I've closed shop, so I'm not pregnant. But there were so many pregnant people there. And most of them were also immigrants, not blacks, but immigrants. And every single one came with their husband, except this, my black sister. And I sat there that day just looking at her and I was feeling for her.
No.
So men, if the men are on the line today, or maybe you will watch on my YouTube page later, I'll upload the video. Please be involved. It is We Are Pregnant. And I'm working on a book for first-time parents. Probably a course on my website or a book. I'm still in between which one to do. And that's something that I talked about in it. It is We Are Pregnant, not she is pregnant. Because when we change our language, sometimes it helps our brain to recalibrate and rethink the process and know that we are in this together. And then you can work together. So thank you so much for sharing that. So another question that I'd like us to talk about is, your relationship with your partner. So especially if it's your first baby. So you've lived, it's just the two of you, you hang out, you go bike riding. Now there's a baby. That has changed the narrative of your home. And now someone is sleep deprived and someone is snoring. And I'm looking at the person snoring like, can't you wake up and do night duty also? How do we navigate that? it wasn't funny for me when I came with the 5-month-old baby, and my husband was already used to how he was doing his things, and he's like, yeah, dad, I've done this mommy alone for 5 months. How are we going to make this work? Can you share a little bit about that, please?
Okay, like I mentioned in the first, I think my second question, that you also need to discuss time management with your spouse. Because for like my second baby, I had a village to support me. But for my first baby, I was all by myself. I remember we were on a thread, my husband and I. It was a really tough time. So what we did was, he goes to work in the morning. So I would stay with baby from morning till like it gets back maybe 6 p.m. So from like 7 p.m. he cares for baby till like 12, depending on what time baby sleeps, because we already tried to give baby already had a routine. So we would stay with baby. Then from 12 to like 5 or 6, we rotate it. Sometimes I wake up, sometimes he wakes up. Then from 6 again, the routine goes like that. So, but the thing is, when he's home, like on weekends, he takes charge, and he also that helps me to also rest, because I won't lie, I was sleep deprived for my first baby. And I remember the first time I ever produced 50 ml of milk, a friend of us, my husband's friend, came. She said she was going to help, and she said I should go and rest. That day was the first time. That was like almost a month after I had my baby. That was the first time I had 3 hours of sleep, and I produced milk. So now, after I had my second baby, I realized that because I was resting more and I was pumping and I was seeing milk, I was now trying to connect everything together. So probably because I wasn't sleeping well, I wasn't producing milk to feed my baby. So back to the question, your spouse, you and your spouse need to discuss how you want to. And also, there are so many things that I've also seen that is helping now in our community. You don't have to clean the home again. You can get someone to come and clean the home for you. That takes away a few stress from you. For food, like for my first baby, by the time we came home, we had so many food from. I didn't even know the importance of food until that time, because for a month straight we didn't have to cook anything. So those kind of things, that also comes with the place of finance, like I discussed earlier. So you should have discussed this with your spouse. How do we want to do the food aspect? Do we want to store food in? Do we want to buy food in before baby comes? Or how do we want to do it? You have to discuss that. That will help you to manage your time. The cleaning of the house, that also helps. When someone would come in, help you clean, you try to maintain it for a week or 2 weeks. That's another part. So you and your spouse will now decide, okay, I'll take the baby from this time to this time. You take the baby from this time to, because you cannot ask somebody to use this productive hour to take care of baby. So you have to find, okay, if 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. works for my husband as his productive hour, let me take that time to take care of baby. Then the other time that is not his productive hour, he can use it to take care of the baby. So you both have to see, and you also have to prioritize what is most important. So let me use that as an example. Yesterday I was busy all through from morning till evening. I had this fashion show that was going on in Saskatoon that I was a part of. My husband was the one with the kids throughout, because that day it was a priority for me. A few weeks back, he had an Instagram live session like this. I was the one with the kids. So we need to be able to, okay, whose work is more pressing now? And I learned this from my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. Whose responsibility is more pressing now?
Yeah.
Let us support that person.
Yeah.
So that way, you guys would not clash. You won't be like, oh, he's selfish. I am the one that is selfish, because we already know the person with more pressure is the person we need to support at the moment. So same thing when the baby comes. Okay, if your wife needs, and I tell like most of the new moms that I know that are friends with me, try to sleep, because your blood pressure is there. If you don't sleep, nobody,
Yeah.
you won't even know that something is wrong with you, that you won't even know that you have blood pressure
Blood
issues.
pressure.
But once you are sleep deprived, there's a tendency that you start harboring that sickness in your body. So it's best for you to plan yourself. Okay, baby, let us plan like this. Let's know that this is the time that you take care of baby. This is the time I take care of baby. This is the time that we clean. This is the time that we wash. That way, it makes life easy for you, and it makes everything. It will be like you guys have it all figured out, but you're still figuring it out. Like I said, it was a learning curve for us. So we learned to figure all of these things out. It's not like I had a manual that I worked with and it just worked perfectly for me. No, we saw that, okay, this is the important thing, and this is the things that we need to focus on at this time. Yes.
Very true. Very true. Communication makes every relationship, it makes it work. So it's the same thing with when, you have a newborn. And even if grandma or someone is around to help you, there's still the need to both communicate and still be involved. And I like how you threw in there managing, career and your dreams, your passion while raising little children. Talking, I'm sure he is with the children right now. That's why nobody has come to drag you, to ask you anything right now. And, we need a village, but the village inside your house is the first village is you and your spouse, and you have to work together to support each other. I think one of the things that nursing mothers struggle with the most, one of it is sleep. Because sometimes you even want to sleep, but your brain is telling you there's a tiny human being depending on you. So I always say to new mothers, if you're blessed that someone comes over to say, I will take care of baby for this number of hours, even if you can't sleep, please go to your bed and just lay on that bed. Your muscles will relax, even if your eyes don't close. Your muscles will relax. And I like how you talked about, even milk production, lactating. If you're stressed up, there are so many things that your body won't do that it's supposed to do. Now, another thing that I learned to do during, my process of being a pastor's wife at the early stage when I still used to make the home visits for everybody was, once I step into your house and there's a kitchen sink full of dishes, don't ask, just wash it. So to everyone listening, you go to visit someone that just had a baby. God bless you if you take them food. I remember when I came to see you, your fridge was full.
Yeah.
I remember that night, your fridge was, and I was so happy to see that. And another thing to invest in is buy yourself a freezer. If you live in diaspora, see, freezer is not luxury, it is necessity. You need it.
Yeah.
Have food inside it before you even go into labor. Because you might get home, they might discharge you at a time of the night that nobody can come and see you that same day. So you have food to eat. The two of you won't starve. And for men that don't know how to cook, please go and learn, so that your wife won't starve, because she needs to eat to produce milk.
Yeah.
And when we make the visit as community members, friends, families, and all that, look out for what can you do to support this couple. If they serve you drink, don't just leave the cup on the table where you are living. Pack it up, wash it, clear the sink, wash everything, leave their house, let them be able to bless you when you leave, that you didn't come to add to their work, you came to take some of it away. Yeah. Okay, so let's I'm trying to look at the next question to go on. We've talked about, the relationship with your partner, support for the pregnant mom, communicating your needs and expectation. Let's now talk about, I know God is the one that gives children, but sometimes we realize the first child is not one yet. And all of a sudden, pregnancy has shown up. And I like how you said it, that the doctors have told you some things and you thought, oh, we still have some time, we won't have children yet. And all of a sudden, boom, pregnancy shows up. And that was my story for our middle child. So if I thought I had the flu. I did not. I thought I had the flu until one of the sisters, God bless her, said, Sister Wumi, have you done a pregnancy test? And I'm looking at her like, what? Because sometimes we've been deceived that if you're still breastfeeding, you can't get pregnant. Well, sometimes some people fall in that percentage that it doesn't work for. So let's now move to, you've had the baby. How do you plan life? When do we have the next child? Do we go on family planning? If pregnancy shows up before the first one is 1 or 2, how do we handle that? Because that's like you have 2 babies. Because what's the age difference between your 2?
My first is 2, my second is 1. So it's just like a year. So I had 2 under 2 last year. So it's just like because I found that when he was like 1, so but I was already few weeks on, but I didn't know. So I think probably a year and 9 months is what is between.
So what's that experience like?
So for me, It wasn't planned. I was on birth control,
Mm,
but I
mm,
decided that I wasn't going to take a very strong one because the intention was would have baby in 2 years' time when the first one is two and can reason and understand that okay, this is what is happening and that's what's happening. So that was our own intention until I now found out that I was pregnant. And what we did, first thing we did was I wasn't even happy when I found out at first. I was sad and I was just like, because it wasn't planned. My career was just starting up then. I got a good job and everything. So
yeah.
it was kind of a downtime for me. But babies are a blessing. There's really
Mm-hmm.
nothing I can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm married, so I have the legal and the physical and the spiritual thumbs up to go
Exactly.
ahead to have children. But one thing that was for sure for us was that we knew that we needed help, no matter like whatever it is that we are going to do with the baby. We knew we
Mm-hmm.
needed help, and for I don't know if God there's a way God works with my husband. Like he will start planning stuff. Even we didn't know we were pregnant or anything, but we already knew that we wanted our parents to come to visit. So there had already been visa, especially because
Mm-hmm.
there was a delayed process for my with my
Good.
first
Yeah.
child. So our
Mm-hmm.
parents already had their visa. So we already planned that okay, once now that we already know that baby is coming, the plan
Mm-hmm.
was let's bring mommy
Let
and
them
daddy.
come.
After our first scan, we had the EDD. So okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's plan their coming to when baby was going to come.
Mm-hmm.
Then we needed a big space. And like I was saying, my husband had already said, okay, I think we needed a big after our first baby, we already said, oh, we needed a big space. So we already planning that okay, let's move to a better space, somewhere that can accommodate more
Mm-hmm.
people because
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to make sense to have two children in a small space. It's going to be difficult to control, especially if they have access to the kitchen so easily. So those are the plans that we put in place. Okay, first we had plans for support, we had plans for the house. We also had to make plans for our
Mm-hmm.
finances, like our income. How do we make sure that this income can take care of both of us and the children? Okay, what are the things we also had to check? Okay, what are the things that we needed to get because we already have the first one and we still had some things that we're using some children items. Okay, we don't have to buy this one again since it's not bad if we repeat it for the new child. So those are the decisions, those are the things that we looked at. But for the emotional part, it took a while for me to
Mm-hmm.
accept that I was pregnant
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't plan that. It took because I had put it's like when you have plans for yourself and something just comes and I won't say disrupt, but it disrupts the plan. What's the next step? So I feel like my husband did what he could do, but me it was the emotional part for me that how do I figure these things out? But there's this passage that works for me that there's time for everything, and God makes everything in His own
Beautiful.
time.
In his own
When He
time.
brings fit that
Mm-hmm.
this is what you should go through. So that was kind of the thing I held on to at that time, because that was the only thing that could support me,
Mm-hmm.
not the words that I hear, not anything. It was just that okay, it has happened, and I had to rise to the challenge. And as God we have it, I had like it was like God had seen my suffering from my first baby, because I had an amazing support when I
Mm-hmm.
had my second baby. My sister-in-law was here, my parents-in-law came in. Like it was as if we planned when we're going to have the baby and have them around. So it was amazing, and it made that transition from a mom of one to a mom of two easy. It made my life easy, like caring for the home. I had someone to stay with baby. I had someone to help me with the cleaning in the house. So I would say that no, but no, there's nothing that prepares you for having kids back to back.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that prepares,
Mm-hmm.
even if you're well prepared mentally and all of that. There are still some things that would still stress you. The only thing is you should trust your ability. Because if anyone had told me, let's say 8 years ago, that
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm capable of these things, I would say no, it's not me. Like because because of my person, I would say I cannot do this kind of thing. But I've come to realize that I have the strength, and it's just when it happens that that strength will come out, that inner strength would
Mm-hmm.
come out. So it's not a bad thing because I've experienced it's not a bad thing, but it will take a lot from you. It will take a lot because your 1 year old doesn't understand that there's
At
a
all.
baby. I
It's a
remember
competition.
when I
Yeah.
was pregnant with her, I'm trying to tell him that, oh, there's a baby. He would touch my belly, he would be nice, but he doesn't understand. He wants me to still do things for him the way I would do when I'm not pregnant. So, and we also had to learn to show how to love the other one, because the baby is small. He knows baby is small, but he's also a baby, and I can't take that baby from him. I can't take the fact that he's a baby from him. So it's another thing, one of the other things we learn, and even one of the things we're still managing now, because they are two and one. My baby girl she has the strong willed, and she goes for what she wants. The brother is the gentle one, so sometimes she wants to override. But we can't forget that the brother too is a baby, so we have to find a way to manage them. So there's also managing the children, managing the home, managing how you address issues with them, and also not neglecting your spouse in all of these things. Because sometimes for me it's overwhelming. Like after I've done
Oh, yeah.
everything, it's overwhelming. Like, oh, let's sit down and watch a movie. I'm tired. I want to go and
Yeah.
rest. So we also have to like learn to balance it out. So it's not easy, but it is. Someone told me one time that it's not easy, but it's doable.
Exactly.
So that's what I've been working with. It's not an easy step, but it's doable. You have to be practical about what you want to do to help yourself, because you're not helping the children, it's yourself that you're helping in
True.
the long run. And one thing I forgot to mention is you have to take care of your body.
Oh, yes.
I think I've missed that out in everything I've been saying since the beginning. Your body, because our body, the things our body can do. And I learned one thing when I was pregnant, that you don't own this body. That was because I would wake up sometimes, something has come out of my body, something I'm feeling a certain way. And when I go and meet my doctor, they'll be like, oh, it's not my fault, that it's normal. So I learned that you need to learn to take care of your body. If you do not take care of your body, it's going to affect your general output.
Everything.
So, yes.
Yeah.
See
Everything.
the doctors you're supposed to see. If you have to see your gynecologist, see your gynecologist. If it's your family physician, you see them. If you
Yeah.
have to do your physical test for all your body, do your blood work. It is very important, because I feel like that also helped me navigate when I found out I was pregnant. Okay, what's the state of my health? Let me know so that I can put my body in a perfect
In a
position,
good
not to
place.
hurt me and not to hurt my baby.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So, from my own experience, when we discovered we were going to have the second child that wasn't planned for, things were even totally, I won't use the word difficult back then. I didn't have a job yet. I was still on a visitor visa. And it's like, oh my God, one income, student income. How are we going to feed this child? And the lesson I learned through that is, when God gives you a child, the child is from God. It will make a way. It's good to space it too, so that your body can rest, you can get over the stress and all that. But if it happens, it happened. Like you said, you were on birth control. It happened to people that are on birth control, and it still happened.
Yeah.
Some people felt breastfeeding will cover it, and it didn't. So whatever the situation is, the child is here. You might go through all the emotions, feeling sad and all that. Please get over that sadness. God has given you a gift. Now look unto that God. If you're a person of faith, look unto that God to help you through that, period. We went through it when we had nothing. So it was even more challenging for us. And here we are now. So don't be sad. I will use that word. Don't be too sad over a gift that God has given you. So whether you planned for it or you didn't plan for it, it's happened. Now, how do we move forward?
Yeah.
And there should be no blame. I hear people say things like, then the husband is saying, why did you get pregnant again? Excuse me, did she get herself pregnant by herself? No, you are in this together. You did it together. So you have
Yes.
to support, work together. And even for the children, like you rightly said, it's like you have two babies. Don't get angry at the first child. The older one, they're still a baby. You took their babyhood from them. So be patient. I've seen older ones slap the baby like, who are you? I've seen some tell the parent, take that baby back to the hospital. Yeah, it's natural jealousy. So we now have to, maneuver that period so that they don't hate each other, help them get over it. But I like where you kind of ended about taking care of ourselves. As women, sometimes we think, oh, we look at someone else doing it and we feel they are super women. Is the superwoman. I want to be like that. To thyself be true. You know, invitations will come do this, come. If you can't, turn it down. You don't need an explanation. Oh, sorry, girlfriend, I won't be able to do this. You're taking care of a tiny human being. You're sleep deprived. You've not even spent time with your husband. If you need the social connection for your emotional well-being, sure, but not at the detriment of your health, your baby's health, your family's health. So feel free to say no to some things that you just can't do and stay at home, rest, massage, even go for a pedicure, manicure, put your feet inside water. Sometimes that alone calms your whole body down. So find what will work for you, and God will provide the money. Go and do it. Take care of yourself. It's interesting, sometimes people will have babies and all of a sudden that well put together makeup wearing lady, you see them, you don't even recognize the shadow of themselves. Please take care of your body, take care of yourself, because God forbid, when women die early, unfortunately, sometimes the men remarry so fast, and someone else is going to take care of that child. So please don't kill yourself. Take care of yourself. Okay, so if anybody is struggling with breastfeeding, I like how you've mentioned about, sleep is very important. But then if you need help, reach out to your family doctor. There are lactation consultants. And if they've told you that, okay, sorry, it's not going to work, this baby needs formula, please, you've not failed as a mother. You have not failed as a mother. It is what it is. There is an option. Go get the formula and feed the baby. Okay, I see that we've been on for almost an hour. So is there anything else you would like to share with us from Life with Lakore? And
Yes.
I should say to all our audience, thank you so much. I've been seeing comments. I see someone, Jude, if I remember the name, when I said, the dad should be involved. I believe this is a male, Jude boy. He said he's fully involved. So clap, clap, clap for you. I'm happy to see that. So go ahead, Life with Lakuri. If there's anything else you would, like to tell us, yeah.
Yes, there's something else I'd like to say. The
Mm-hmm.
first is I wrote a book and it's called Welcome to Motherhood. So this book was as a result of my experience when I was pregnant. I was fond of always, when I go for doctor's appointments, I write whatever thing they say down. And
Mm-hmm.
if I get like a treatment, like a medication to it, I put it to it so that I know, okay, this is why I was getting this medication.
Yeah.
And I kind of associated, after I had my baby, there were also new moms around me. And when we talk about certain things like, oh, I had this and this, or what did your doctor say? What medication are you using? I find out that many of them don't even know
Mm-hmm.
what what the
No
treatment
prescription.
is, or why they are using a prescription.
Yeah.
And it's kind of saddening my heart because I feel like this thing is part of your journey. It's peculiar to you. It's not particular to me. And for a few people, I send them whatever thing I've used, whether it's a
Mm-hmm.
natural way or I
Mm-hmm.
send it to them. So it kind of impressed in my heart, especially after I had my first baby. I realized that people don't like they don't talk about I won't say bad part, the other side of
Mm.
pregnancy. It's just the baby fever. Oh, I have a cute belly. Those are the major things you see online. The other part where it's tough, where you experience certain things, they don't talk about it. So that kind of gave me the vision to create this book. It's a journal. It's you see a bit of my experience
Mm-hmm.
and a few other moms' experience, and you can also write your own experience, like your own experience now. The journal gives you an opportunity to write your own experience, and basically that's why I wrote it. And it's going to be launched November 30th. It's going to be
Yeah,
an
baby.
Instagram live launch on that day, and on that day you get this book at a discounted price, which will be communicated. Everything will be on my page, Life with Lakore. um I know it's a very beautiful journey when you see the pictures, but it's important to know that you have to be you have to be intentional about the journey. It's beyond the glitz and the glam,
Mm-hmm.
and also know that whatever changes you go through, whether emotionally, it's going to be worth it. What Whatever it is, it's going to be worth it. Just enjoy the journey.
Mm-hmm.
If write about the journey, and for the men here, if you have your wife, you could buy this for your wife. If you have friends who are new moms, so it's welcoming you into motherhood. Motherhood is not until you carry the baby. From the moment that you get pregnant, that is when you're welcome to motherhood. And I pray that everyone who is pregnant or who is looking up to God for something, for a baby, God will provide. And those who are pregnant will have safe delivery. Don't pressure yourself that it has to be a vaginal birth. You're not. Everybody is a strong woman in their own way. But don't put your life at risk because you want to prove a point. I have had a natural vaginal without epidural, and I've had the one with
With
epidural.
epidural.
Both journey are unique to it, and
Yes.
there was even a possibility of a cesarean session, which I was open to. So you don't try to form, because we have a way of trying to make hardship, glorifying hardship. Don't glorify hardship because of what people will say. Do things that would help you, because you have only one body, and this body is the temple of God. He would ask you, how did you treat this body that I've given to you? So please take care of yourself. I hope that on the day of the launch, everybody would come out to support me, and also buy this for people around you. You would love it. Like the comments I've shared snippets with a lot of new moms, even people that are mature, even Pastor me and Sebas, and the reviews that I've gotten, it was like God had put it in my mind, and I delayed getting, because this thing came when I had my first baby, but I didn't have the capacity to do it then. But now I have the capacity, and thanks to the village I had to help me care for baby, it also gave me the opportunity to have this book. So I hope that you guys will be able to be available on Amazon. So by the
Good.
special grace of God, November 30th, we'll be launching
Hey.
by God's grace.
Congratulations. I was so happy the first time you mentioned it, and when you sent I read through a bit of it and I'm like, wow, this is fantastic. There's nothing as good as knowing that someone else has gone through it or is going through it, and your journey, you realize you can do it. You are a superwoman in your own right. God has graced us differently for different things. And motherhood is one of that experience that it's a great privilege to go through. And whether it was good, not so good, stressing, you have the fruits of it as a child to raise, which is another journey on its own, right? But at least let's start off on a good note, knowing that the child is a gift from God. It will give us the grace that is needed to raise that child. So I'm so happy for you. Congratulations. So for all our viewers, and then you see, the information about the book launch on IG on November 30th, right?
Yes.
It's a Saturday. Yeah, it's a Saturday, November 30th. So let's all show up. Buy one. I plan to buy one. Like I said, I have closed shop, but I have lots of people in my life. And because I do a lot of, parenting coaching, I talk to new moms, and I'm also working on a book for first-time parents, combining some other stuff together like that. So it will be a good resource. Part of building a village around you also involves reading materials that will help you grow. And I think you said something the other time when you were talking about the book, about people who go see their doctor, they will recommend this or give them a medication, and they don't even remember the name of the medication.
I
It's
find
a
it
typical
really.
it's a typical African thing. Maybe I'm wrong. Sorry, all Africans watching if I'm wrong, but I see that a lot. And I'll be like, what medication? Oh, I don't even remember the name. Okay, are you at home? Go and grab the vial, take a picture and send it to me. And I always encourage people also, if you're confused about anything, make sure you're checking from certified medical websites. Don't go and be going on Wikipedia to look up the symptoms. Mayo Clinic is like my first go-to one. Make sure you're finding the right information that you need. So this book will be one of those right information that you need to work. So someone says, don't they give prescriptions? Yes, but I tell you, sis, engage wellness. Some people, you're talking to them, they're not at home. They don't remember the name of the medication they just took that morning.
Yes, I
and
think
they're
it's not
asking
even
you.
good.
Yeah, so they're talking to me, hey, you are a nurse. So this and this happened. And the doctor gave me a medication. I don't even remember the name. And I'm like, well, I
Please
can't
try
tell
to
you
remember some
anything.
part of the name
Yes.
so that you can even check what the medication does, like the
Side
side effects, if you're
effects, adverse
experiencing
effects,
it,
and
and all
all
of
that.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, true, 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 true. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I believe it's been a very, educative session. Even for me, working with younger people, it helped me to learn some new things. But the most important lesson we're sharing today is, seek for help when you need it. If someone says no, that doesn't mean the second person will also say no. Learn to seek medical help when it's necessary. Every birth is normal, whether it's vaginal or C-section. You have not failed your baby if you can't breastfeed. Spouses should work together. You made the baby together. Be part of the journey. We are pregnant, not she is pregnant. And let's walk through that journey together. Raising wholesome children, having a balanced home where children can grow up. In the way of the Lord, and seeing parents that are communicating and collaborating and working together. So thank you so much for being here. I will upload the video to my YouTube page soon, and I'll share it with you to Lakuri.
Okay.
And till I see you again, November 16, I'm bringing another person to talk about balancing it all. You're figuring out your purpose, you're discovering who you are, you're already married, you're raising children. How do you merge both together and still be sane? So I'll see you next time. Thank you so much, everybody,
Thank you,
for
everyone,
watching.
for
God
joining.
bless
Thank
you
you.
all. Bye for now. Follow our pages, follow me, follow Life with Lakuri. God
Thank you.
bless you all.
Yes.
Thank you. Okie
All
dokie.
right.
Bye
Bye
now.
bye.
Thanks there.